Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome to the energy segment of Money Radio. My name is Winifred Ogbebo, and sure feels good to be hosting you this afternoon, June 22nd, 2023. My name is Winifred Ogbebo, and of course, with me in the studio, as usual, is an in-house analyst, Inse Anthony Uko. Inse, it's a pleasure to have you on the
Thank you.
program. Inse is also the group business editor of Leadership newspaper. Welcome once again. On today's energy focus, we are looking at development in the energy sector and how consumers can cope. Development in the energy sector and how consumers can cope. The new administration a lot of reforms with far-reaching impact on energy consumers in the country. How can consumers cope with these unfolding realities? This is what we are going to be looking at on today's segment of the program Money Radio. Now, Inse, a lot has happened since May 29 inauguration of our new president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, in his inaugural speech, he announced that he was going to remove few subsidy, and few subsidy has been like a sort of Damocles hanging over everybody's heads. We can remember during GAG's administration when he mooted that idea, there was a protest, mother of all protests that took place in Lagos. And of course, though many see it as at least a relief that over this subsidy, many see it as a fraud that has been perpetrated under so-called subsidy. So inside, a lot happened, and many people faulted the speech of the president, saying it that he was going to remove, and of course, it was like a wake-up call. We saw statement from the NNPC pegging his rate. Was it right to have done that?
Well, like you said, the issue of fuel subsidy removal has been on and on and on for ages. In fact, it's been overflowed in
Yes.
the Nigerian system. Like you pointed out, the government of the administration of Goodluck Jonathan was hell bent on removing subsidy. And of course, like you pointed out too, it was fought to a standstill.
Yes.
And looking back now, one would say that apparently it would have been better for Nigeria if subsidy had been removed at that time. The naira at that time was still strong compared to the dollar. It was exchanging at about 200 naira to the dollar, and then the prices of crude oil. Oil in the international market was not as bad as it is now. And then also, if fuel subsidy had been removed at that time, it's been a very long time, over 8 years. It would have a lot of Nigerians operators, more than 8 years. A lot of Nigerians operators within the energy space would have long adjusted, not just adjusting to the price then, but a lot of them infrastructure that we are still lacking even as we speak when fuel subsidy is finally removed would have already been put in place. So right now, Nigeria wouldn't have had to be contending with so many issues at the same time. So, but here we are, and I would say that it really caught a lot of Nigerians unawares.
It sure did.
It sure did. It caught Nigerians unawares. We had been, in fact, so many people in many quarters. By the time you see fuel queues all over the country, a lot of people will say, "Remove this subsidy. Let's know that subsidy is gone once and for all." Because in many parts of the country, we had seen motorists buying petrol for as much as like 400 naira. Some were
that was then.
Yes, then in different parts of the countries, depending on how far away they are off from the ports. And the cheapest that we had, the cheapest state that we had for sold was in Lagos, because that was the port of delivery where imported petrol landed. So for them, it was cheaper. The cost of transporting it to the hinterlands were not added to the price at which they were buying. But when you, in fact, by the time you leave the city centers,
Mm,
for instance, here in Abuja, or you go to Port Harcourt, or even in Lagos, within the city centers, and
mm,
go into the inter parts of the state, you begin to see the price changing.
mm,
For many people, in as far as maybe like Cross River, they said for a lot of them never bought fuel for at the regulated price of
mm,
195 at
mm.
that time.
Yes.
Many people say they
Yes,
buy
it was
for, even
195.
if you go to
Mm.
the east, the same thing. You
Yes.
go up north, the same thing. A lot
Mm,
were buying at 300, some 400, and so on. So it was really in the center. And so it means that the subsidy was on a
it
lot
was
of
just
people.
the
Yes,
urban few.
yes, the urban few, and not just those at the grassroots. They were
Mm,
actually subsidizing the upper elite. And
mm,
then also we saw a lot of people, so much the figures that were touted as having been paid out on subsidies
exactly.
were so high compared to what
And
the
yet we were not getting
and
the
yet we were
product.
not getting the product. So a lot of all those things made Nigerians to feel that it would be safer for fuel subsidy to be removed once and for all. However, when it finally happened,
Mm.
it still took a lot of people by surprise,
Yes, this
because
you
they
know,
had not anticipated that the
yes.
price of fuel
You
would
know,
go
just
that
like what you
high.
said that when it rains, they said it pours.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it certainly is. It has been pouring. It's not just singly or in just slowly in
Trickles.
trickles, but it's been pouring and pouring. Now, instead, many people also believe that before the federal government, sorry, the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu took that decision. Of course, it was already Buhari had already prepared us ahead. That is the former
Former
president,
president.
but he said it was not captured in the budget. And besides, he wanted to remove it just before he left, but he decided to let it go towards the twilight of his administration. Now, many Nigerians are saying that the president would have put some measures in place to cushion the effect of the subsidy, and this was not done. Even though NSC they are meeting, they say in 2 months' time they are going to be talking more on the issue. But do you think the president went ahead just like that, as in jumping in with both feet without considering the impact it will have on the masses?
Yeah, a lot of things were said by the former administration of
Mm.
President Muhammadu Buhari about setting up palliatives.
Yes.
And that administration went as far as collecting a $800 million
Dollars.
loan from the World Bank, which it said was going to be used to
Mm.
as palliative
Yes.
for taking off subsidies from petrol. But until the government left, we didn't see any of this playing out. And so the question is, what happened to the 800
Million.
million
I don't
dollars
think
that
it
was
has
taken?
actually saved through.
So
It's still in the process, it's still in
that
the works.
that's one question that Nigerians have been hoping to get answers to. On the other hand, you would say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was hasty in taking off the subsidy
Subsidy.
during his inaugural
Exactly.
speech. You would have thought that he would get into
This
office
was
and assess the
mm,
situation before actually making that pronouncement. But apparently, I think I would say that it felt like hitting the nail on the head. Just
mm,
just rip it off
yes.
once and for
Pull
all,
the
and
rug
yes,
abruptly out of under our
yes,
feet.
and let's see how to deal with the consequence. And we've seen a lot of the consequence playing out. Like if you noted, it's he was reading his speech, and then at following, he made a declaration, an
Mm,
emphatic
declaration.
declaration that subsidy is gone.
Mm,
And you know that coming from the president of the country, that is as good
mm,
as law, because all the legal parameters that would have built up to that was already
mm,
in place. So he was not actually speaking out of tune. He just a lot of Nigerians expected that he would at least settle down first before making that pronouncement. And then NNPC coming up to
Yes.
fix their prices
Mm.
immediately, almost immediately.
Almost immediately.
They were actually responding to that statement. And NNPC now being a commercial company is like, okay, the new law is that subsidy is removed, and before now, like they have been saying, they say they have been bearing the cost of subsidizing petrol. They
Mm.
said even though the former administration said subsidy was captured up to the end of June. So
Mm.
Nigerians were supposed to start, the subsidy removal was supposed to begin by July, but they said there was no cash back for this,
Mm.
and that NNPC said it had been bearing the cost of subsidizing, and they did not have the money, they could not carry
Mm.
on with it. So what
Mm.
they immediately had to swing into action
Action.
and fix their own prices based on the price of import from the international market, and then the landing cost of petrol into the country, as well as the cost of transporting this product to different parts of the country.
All right, thank you. Now, looking at that pronouncement, since NNPC peg NNPC, sorry, L, you know, this is a limited liability company. He pegged his rate at 537 naira.
For Abuja
Yes,
and
per liter.
yeah, and
Yeah,
December.
and he's saying that today it has also gone up. So, are we going to see a rise in fuel until it peaks?
Actually, the benchmark for this pricing is
Mm.
the exchange rate,
Okay.
the exchange rate of the naira to
Naira.
the dollar.
Mm.
And we have seen a situation where not only has subsidy on petroleum be taken on petrol be
Mm.
removed, we have also seen a situation where Nigeria, the official rate of the naira to the dollar has
Mm.
been collapsed. So
Mm.
the dollar is now on a free
Free
float,
float.
meaning willing buyers, willing sellers. So it's left to market forces. So it means, and depending on the price
Mm.
of the exchange rate of the naira to the dollar, since the product is imported with dollar, it it means that will determine the price at which it is sold.
Mm.
So so long as Nigeria continues to import,
Mm.
we are going to see this
The price
changes,
spiraling.
yes, the fluctuations in the price of petrol going forward. The only thing we can look forward to is that a lot begins to be done in terms of developing Nigeria's economy to the point that the naira begins to gain more value to the
We
dollar.
are also going to be talking more on that when we come back in, sir, because with what you just said or pointed out, the prognosis looks so bad. But viewers, don't go away. We are coming back with so much more on this energy sector program today. Stay tuned.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
dismal picture of the situation. Naira is having a free float. So, what can actually caution the fall of the naira?
Save for improving the manufacturing base, the production base of the economy. You know, right now we still have a largely import dependent
Yes, it
economy,
is. It
and
is.
so as long as the economy remains so highly import dependent,
Mm.
the value of the naira is just in fact we are going to see more of it falling.
Mm.
So with this, I think this is going
So, in
to be
other words,
a
you're
wake
actually
up
going to
call.
buy for 1,000 liter
We pray it does not get
there.
to that. Let's believe that the president, in
Mm.
taking this, the free float of the naira is actually part of a set of reforms
Yes, it
that
is.
he is
Carrying out.
carrying out. So
Mm.
let's hope and expect that he has a lot up his sleeves to improve the manufacturing base of the economy, so that Nigeria's naira will be more stable,
Nice.
will also gain traction much more than we are seeing it right now. And then let's not forget that few days before the end of the last administration,
Mm.
the then President Muhammadu Buhari launched the Dangote refinery that we
Mm.
had been looking forward to. And so right now that a
Refinery.
refinery is putting its house in order, preparing its production. And we understand that we are expecting to have the first fill begin to come out sometimes in July. So all of this
July.
means that
But there were also reports that actually the Dangote refinery was just about 80%, 80% completed. That is, there's still more little work to be done, and that we should expect maybe next year. Only that the outgoing president, Muhammad Buhari, was in a haste to commission that project before he leaves office. So how
I
true is
those
this?
can the official pronouncement that came out is
Mm.
that the refinery, once it's been launched, takes 3 months
Okay.
for products to begin to come out, and that has already been kickstarted, like it was pointed out at the commissioning. So right now
Keeping our fingers
we are
crossed.
keeping our fingers crossed and
Okay.
expecting to see fuel from that refinery
Okay.
sometime in
July
July, August. So let's hope
2023.
that that happens, 2023. So let's hope that that happens. In a situation where that happens, it's going to reduce the
Dependency.
level of import of Nigeria of petrol into the country. And where we see this happen, then that will be
Relief.
a huge relief, not only on consumption within the country, but also in saving foreign exchange for the country. Where Nigeria is able to save foreign exchange and shore up our foreign reserve, our external reserves, because we have seen a lot of depletion in the external
Mm.
reserve, because Nigeria was actually using a lot of the reserve to manage the naira, to stabilize the naira
Mm.
at that official rate that we
Mm.
saw it. So now, if Dangote refinery is able to kickstart production, and we see a lot of import dependency in that area decline, and then Nigeria is also able to export from its production and then save foreign exchange to shore up the country's
Mm.
external reserve, Nigeria's currency will also improve. Don't forget that the Dangote refinery will also come up with a lot of productive capacity, so boosting the country's production base,
Mm.
and that will
Yes,
also
yes, because there's so much,
industry, because
yes,
yeah, there's so
byproducts
many
of
byproducts, and
yes,
also it's built to employ a lot of Nigerians.
yes.
So
Okay, that's
all
nice.
these are things that we hope that will have a definitely positive impact on the value of the naira in the days to come.
All right. Now, it's just before we go. So, how can consumers cope with these unfolding realities? It's
Well,
harsh.
that is the tough situation, the tough question. Well, we, like we have seen, statements have been bandied around, though there are
Mm.
yet to be official figures to back them up. We have seen the vice president Kassim Shettima mentioning that fuel consumption has dropped from what we used to have, about
60 million.
68
Okay.
million
To 44 or so.
per day, million liters per day, to about 40. Some said 40, some said 41. So though we are yet to see official data
Yes.
from the
NNPC.
downstream. No, it's no longer
Okay.
NNPC,
No longer
the
NNPC.
midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority backing up this pronouncement. But where we see that happen, if that is substantiated, validated, it means that Nigerians are already cutting down on their petrol consumption. And when that happens, it means also they are trying to save costs as well. And you know, a lot has been talked about gas, the move towards gas. You know, right now, especially when it comes to compressed natural gas, which Nigeria has in abundance.
Yes, you said so.
And you know, someone was mentioning that he visited Port Harcourt sometimes past, and he saw that they are actually, a lot of their vehicles, some number of their vehicles are running on gas. They are having
Really?
they are having generators running on gas. They are having industries powered with gas. And you know, the cost of gas is far, far cheaper. We have gas, a kilogram of gas
Okay.
going for as low as 100 to 120 naira to a kilogram of gas. And a kilogram of gas can, if you want to compare what it does with fuel, that would be like maybe 1.5 liters
Okay.
of
So sorry to interrupt you. We have a conversation coming in from Ali Muhammad. Thank you so much for joining on the program, Energy Sector of Money Radio. And he is saying that the new administration has brought with it a lot of reforms with far-reaching impacts on energy consumers in the country. And that is exactly what we are talking about, the energy reforms of the present administration and the impact on consumers, especially the energy consumers in the country. So
yes, so we are saying the move is on moving
Gas now.
yes, moving from petrol to gas. And even on the domestic scene, we are seeing a lot of technology, people coming up to change their personal generating sets from
gas.
though this time around not the natural gas but the LPG, the cooking gas. And even that is considered cheaper compared to petrol in terms of cost. So with that, a lot of them are cutting up saving as much as 30%, 45, cutting down the cost by as much as 30 to 45% of their fuel consumption. So that is one way for Nigerians to look at to cope with the current rise in the cost of petrol. And of course, the other one is limiting where you go to. And we have seen a lot of that happening.
But instead, may I just you to know that since this fuel subsidy removal, the queues on filling stations has automatically disappeared.
Yeah, of course. You know, many people, because of the groundwork that has been on by the previous administration to remove fuel subsidy, a lot of them, they were actually playing safe to see what happens. Nobody knew when a pronouncement will come up and they will come up and say fuel subsidy is gone. So they didn't want to be caught off guard where they would have sold off their products at the former prices and only so they were trying to profit from the situation. And
they did.
Yes, they did. And as a result, they were hoarding the product, not bringing it out, waiting for the pronouncement. Look at what happened. Immediately, the pronouncement was made, and then NNPC came up to
They just
new
changed
price.
their
Came up with its own new price. You saw that petrol was everywhere.
yes. and immediately they change their
Yes,
price to reflect it.
Yes, and so we saw that. And you know, some of the marketers even tried to play smart, because we had the NNPC being the sole importer of petrol. So many of the marketers then were getting petrol from NNPC, and a lot of them had gone ahead to pay for tickets, like the Suleja depot marketers are saying that they have arrears of 4,000 tickets. That means 4,000 trucks of petrol that NNPC is owing them, and they want to lift it at the old price. Now the question is, if, let's say for instance, the NNPC allows them to lift it at the old price, are they going to sell it at the old price at the filling station?
No, they are not going to. They are just playing smart.
So they're just trying to
No,
play smart.
oh my God, we are running out of time. There's a question that I just wanted to ask you just before we go. Now, some state governments are trying to adjust. We have a situation whereby some state governments said that for school, students should come to school 3 times a week, and which has drawn some flags from well-meaning Nigerians and prominent ones as well. That how can you reduce? You are invariably reducing quality of education. What do you say to that?
Well,
these are some of the measures to cope.
Yeah, let's look at it this way. During the time of COVID, many organizations, schools were closed, completely shut down, and a lot of the teaching was taken over to online classes. And so we can have the situation play out again. If they go to school 3 times physically, the other times can be transferred to a virtual class, whereby they still get to interact with their teachers and still continue learning. It's just a way of adjusting to the current realities. And we also see not only schools, we are seeing some governments getting the workers to cut short the number of.
Are you also reducing the productivity?
Well, it means that they have to come up with new set of standards for them to meet during the times that they are in office, up their target in terms of productivity during those the 3 days you come to work. Ensure that you will still meet up with the targets that you have if you were coming for 5 days. So it's an opportunity cost for them. Is it pay the transport fare and come to work 5 times, or you come 3 days and ensure that within those 3 days you pack a lot of work into it, accomplish much more. So I think at the end of the day, it will be better for them if they can ramp up their productivity and achieve more with less time.
Thank you so much. On that note, we end today's program, Energy Sector, on Money Radio. You'll be hearing my guest analyst in the studio and in-house is Group Business Editor, Leadership Newspaper, INSEE, Anthony Uko. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you same time next week. And so, viewers, I leave you here until I come your way again, same time next week. I'm Winifred Ubebo. You take care. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.